Rise of the Unlikely. The message that changed humanity's fate arrived on Europa during the station's artificial night. Commander Sarah Chen stood at her office viewport, watching ice crystals dance across the reinforced plexiglass when her neural implant chimed with the priority alert. The message was simple. Her predecessor, Commander Marcus Reynolds, had suffered a fatal accident during a routine maintenance inspection. As second in command, she was now the leader of humanity's last independent military outpost. She didn't believe in accidents. Not anymore. Not after 3 other human colony commanders had died in similarly convenient circumstances over the past standard year. The Galactic Federation's observers would arrive within hours to assist with the transition. Chen's lips curved into a bitter smile as she watched the crystalline storms rage across Europa's surface. They thought they were so clever, these alien manipulators who believed humans were barely evolved primates playing with technology they didn't understand. Time to prove them wrong. Station, Privacy Protocol Alpha, Chen commanded. The ambient lighting dimmed, and a soft hum indicated active counter-surveillance measures. Connect me to Deep Archive. A holographic interface materialized before her, displaying classification levels that officially didn't exist. Chen's neural implant transmitted the necessary credentials, authorization codes buried so deep in her genetic programming that even she hadn't known about them until this moment. The truth unfolded before her in streams of data. Humanity hadn't stumbled into faster-than-light travel and found itself in a benevolent galactic community. They'd been carefully managed, guided, and contained. The Federation's member species had spent centuries ensuring humanity would remain a minority player, useful for their adaptability and innovation, but never truly threatening. Commander Reynolds had discovered this truth. So had the other colony commanders who'd suffered accidents. But Reynolds had prepared for his death, embedding the truth in Chen's neural implant through a virus disguised as a routine security update. Now she had access to everything. Hidden weapon caches, sleeper agents, and most importantly, the real capabilities of Europa Station. Chen allowed herself exactly 1 minute to absorb the rage. Then she began to plan. The Federation observers would expect to find a grieving, overwhelmed human female suddenly thrust into authority. They'd expect her to be grateful for their help, eager to accept their guidance. Their psychological profiles of human behavior were excellent, but they'd never encountered someone born and bred for this exact moment. Station, begin Protocol Lazarus, Chen commanded. Throughout the massive facility, hidden systems hummed to life. Crystalline computers that had masqueraded as decorative ice formations began processing data. Civilian quarters that appeared cramped and primitive reconfigured themselves, revealing training facilities and weapon caches. She opened a secure channel to Dr. Amit Patel, the station's chief medical officer. "Doctor, it's time to wake our sleeping giants." In the medical bay's restricted section, row after row of stasis pods began their revival sequences. Inside each pod was a veteran of Earth's last wars, volunteers who'd agreed to sleep until humanity needed them most. Their official records listed them as casualties, their identities erased from history. The Federation believed Europa Station housed 3,000 civilians and a token military force of 200. They were about to discover how wrong they were. Chen's next call went to Maya Santos, officially listed as a hydroponics specialist. In reality, she was Earth's most accomplished military strategist, artificially aged down and embedded here as a sleeper agent. "Maya, gather your students. Class is in session." Throughout the civilian sectors, seemingly ordinary colonists received coded wake-up calls. Workers, technicians, and administrators who'd been carefully selected and trained for years began quietly preparing for their real mission. Chen's final call was to the one person who could blow everything apart or make it all work. Ambassador Kira Volkov, the Federation's human representative who'd been advocating for greater oversight of human colonies. Volkov's public records showed a career diplomat eager to integrate humanity into galactic society. Her real identity was something else entirely. "Kira, the snow is falling on Europa." There was a pause before Volkov responded. "Well, Sarah, I was wondering when we'd finally have this conversation. I'll begin redirecting Federation attention to the Centauri colonies. You'll have 72 hours before anyone important looks too closely at Europa." There was a pause before Volkov responded. "Well, Sarah, I was wondering when we'd finally have this conversation. I'll begin redirecting Federation attention to the Centauri colonies. You'll have 72 hours before anyone important looks too closely at Europa." Chen allowed herself a small smile. Humanity had spent generations appearing weak, disorganized, and eager to please. They'd accepted unfair trade agreements, submitted to protective oversight, and played the role of grateful primitives perfectly, all while preparing for this moment. The Federation observers would arrive expecting to find a chaotic transfer of power to an inexperienced commander. Instead, they'd encounter the first phase of humanity's carefully orchestrated revelation of their true strength. But timing would be everything. Move too fast, show too much, and the Federation would respond with overwhelming force. Move too slowly, and the other colonies would continue falling under Federation control. Chen spent the next hours reviewing classified files that detailed humanity's real technological capabilities. The Federation believed humans were still struggling with basic antimatter containment. They had no idea that Europa's ice caves contained engines that could fold space itself. They thought human AI was primitive and limited. They'd never discovered the quantum intelligence woven into every human neural implant, ready to awaken at the right moment. "Station, show me the Lazarus Protocol timeline," Chen commanded. A complex series of mission objectives appeared before her, each calculated to gradually reveal humanity's strength while appearing to be desperate defensive measures. The Federation would believe they were forcing humanity into a corner. In reality, they were being maneuvered into position for a complete reorganization of galactic power. The station's external sensors registered an approaching ship. Right on schedule, the Federation's observers were arriving to ensure a smooth transition of power. Chen straightened her uniform and deliberately mussed her hair slightly. Time to play her role. The overwhelmed new commander, grateful for Federation guidance. Behind her, hidden in Europa's endless ice caves, an army was awakening. Throughout human space, sleeper agents were receiving their activation codes. In the Federation's own diplomatic corps, carefully placed human agents were beginning to influence policy. Humanity had spent generations playing the long game, appearing weak while gathering strength. Now, under the frozen surface of Europa, they were finally ready to reveal their true nature, not as the galaxy's primitive newcomers, but as its most patient and dangerous power. Chen took a deep breath and prepared to greet her guests. The revolution would begin not with a bang, but with a perfectly orchestrated deception. The Federation was about to learn why humans had survived every catastrophe their homeworld had thrown at them. They were about to learn the true meaning of human ingenuity. "Station," Chen said quietly. "Begin recording. Let's make sure we document exactly how the galaxy changed hands." The Federation ship docked with Europa Station, carrying observers who believed they were arriving to manage another routine transition of human authority. They had no idea they were about to become players in humanity's greatest strategic victory. The game was finally beginning. Shadow Games. Federation Ambassador Tarlak prided himself on reading human micro-expressions. After 3 decades studying their species, he considered himself an expert in their psychology. Yet something about Commander Chen's subtle tells felt wrong. He watched her fumble with the holoprojector during her status briefing, her hands trembling just enough to be noticeable. Everything about her performance screamed inexperienced leader overwhelmed by sudden authority. It was exactly what he expected to see. Too exact. "As you can see, Ambassador," Chen gestured at the stuttering hologram of Europa Station's defensive capabilities, "we're struggling to maintain even basic systems. The civilian population is growing restless, and..." The projection flickered and died. Chen's shoulders slumped in apparent defeat. Later that night, in his quarters, Tarlak encrypted a message to Federation High Command. subject displaying expected stress responses. Recommend immediate implementation of Protocol Guardian. He hesitated before adding, Note: something feels orchestrated. Request deep scan of station systems. In her private command center, buried 2 kilometers beneath Europa's ice, Chen watched the ambassador's transmission with satisfaction. The quantum AI woven through her neural implant had perfectly calculated the precise degree of incompetence needed to trigger his suspicions that would lead exactly where she wanted them. Maya, is Phase 2 ready? Chen addressed her strategic officer, who was coordinating operations from a hidden command post in what the Federation believed was a water recycling plant. Better than ready, Maya Santos replied, her aged-down features animated with predatory enthusiasm. The Federation's deep scan will detect exactly what we want them to find. Partial signatures of antimatter weapons research, just primitive enough to concern them without triggering immediate military intervention. The next 2 weeks unfolded like a precisely choreographed dance. Federation observers discovered carefully planted evidence of human attempts to overcome their technological restrictions. Each discovery was met with panicked denials from Chen's administration, followed by reluctant admissions and pleas for understanding. The Federation's confidence grew with each apparent victory. They never noticed that every discovered violation led them further from Europa's true capabilities. While they congratulated themselves on finding a hidden weapons laboratory, they missed the quantum forge assembling gravitic weapons in the ice caves below. When they detected unauthorized communication channels between human colonies, they failed to notice the entangled quantum network that made their surveillance meaningless. But Chen's masterpiece was the civilian population. Every Federation observer had access to apparently private conversations expressing fear of Chen's leadership. Maintenance workers complained about her inexperience. Medical staff worried about supply shortages. All carefully scripted, all designed to paint a picture of a colony on the brink of collapse. The reality was far different. Every civilian on Europa Station was a carefully selected operative, their true backgrounds buried under layers of false identity. The nervous maintenance worker was Earth's foremost expert in xenotechnology. The seemingly drunk station bartender had commanded Earth's last successful military campaign. Even the children playing in the station's parks were born and bred for their roles, their games disguising combat training sessions. Ambassador Xarlak's suspicions gradually eased as pattern after pattern matched his species' psychological models of human behavior. He watched Chen make obvious mistakes and correct them after Federation guidance, each correction leading the station further under Federation control. Or so it seemed. The pivotal moment came when Chen apparently cracked under pressure. During a station-wide address, she fumbled her words and nearly broke down, pleading for Federation help in maintaining order. It was a masterful performance, calculated to appeal to the Federation's sense of superiority, while disguising the activation of Europa's deep space sensor network. The Federation's 7th Fleet just began mobilizing. Maya reported after the speech. They're positioning themselves to protect human colonies from their own incompetence. Chen smiled. The Federation was deploying exactly as predicted, spreading their forces thin across human space. Each ship they committed to helping human colonies was one less ship available when the truth was finally revealed. But timing remained critical. Move too soon, and the Federation would realize their error and concentrate their forces. Move too late, and their control over human colonies would become too entrenched to break without unacceptable casualties. The solution came from an unexpected direction. Federation intelligence intercepted communications suggesting that Earth, long believed to be a toxic wasteland after environmental collapse, was showing signs of recovery. The Federation's response was predictable. They immediately began planning a scientific expedition to verify the planet's status. It was the opportunity Chen had been waiting for. Earth's apparent recovery was another carefully crafted deception, designed to draw Federation attention at precisely the right moment. While their fleets repositioned to investigate Earth, the real operation could begin. Initiate Protocol Prometheus, Chen commanded. Throughout human space, Sleeper agents received their activation codes. Hidden weapons platforms powered up. Quantum computers that had been masquerading as primitive AI cores revealed their true capabilities. Ambassador Xarlak was preparing his final report on Europa Station when his quarters lost power. When emergency lighting activated seconds later, he found himself facing Commander Chen, but not the nervous, overwhelmed Chen he'd come to know. This Chen stood with the confidence of a predator, her earlier uncertainty replaced with cold authority. "Ambassador," she said quietly, "I believe it's time we had an honest conversation about humanity's place in the galaxy." As alarms began blaring throughout Federation space, as hidden human fleets emerged from seemingly empty sectors, as quantum weapons far beyond Federation understanding powered up, Chen allowed herself a moment of satisfaction. Generations of preparation were finally bearing fruit. The Federation was about to learn that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their technology or their strength. It was their patience. The breaking point. The Federation Council's emergency session began in chaos and descended into panic. Holographic displays showed impossible data, quantum signatures erupting throughout human space, hidden fleets materializing from what should have been empty void, and weapons platforms activating with technology that, according to Federation intelligence, humanity shouldn't possess for another century. Supreme Counselor Vexthor, their most experienced diplomat, watched the reports with growing horror. "How?" he demanded of his assembled advisors. "How did we miss this?" The answer came not from his staff, but from the chamber's central holofield. Commander Chen's image materialized, her projection somehow bypassing the Council's most sophisticated security measures. She wore a dress uniform none of them had seen before, black and silver with insignia that spoke of authority far beyond a mere station commander. "You missed it," Chen said quietly, "because we wanted you to miss it. Because every time you looked at humanity, you saw what you expected to see. Primitive, eager to please, grateful for your guidance. You never asked yourselves why a species that went from atmospheric flight to moon landing in 66 years would suddenly become so complacent." Vexthor's secondary hearts nearly stopped as the implications hit him. "The accidents," he said. "The colony commanders who died were necessary sacrifices," Chen finished. "Each death carefully staged to reinforce your perception of human incompetence. Each accident positioned Federation observers exactly where we wanted them." On screens across Federation space, the same scene played out. Chen's image appeared on every communication channel, her words translated simultaneously into all Federation languages. It was a display of technological sophistication that should have been impossible. Yet another calculation in humanity's grand deception. "For generations," Chen continued, "you've treated human space as your training ground. You've installed protective fleets over our colonies, imposed beneficial trade restrictions, and carefully managed our development, all while congratulating yourselves on your benevolent guardianship of a younger species. In orbit around Europa Station, Federation warships found themselves suddenly engulfed in quantum fields that rendered their weapons inert. Similar scenes play out across human space as hidden defense systems activated, neutralizing Federation military assets with embarrassing ease. But we learned from you." Chen's voice carried a hint of bitter amusement. "We learned patience. We learned to hide our strength. Most importantly, we learned that the most effective prison is one where the prisoners don't realize they're bound." The Federation Council chamber erupted in shouts as new reports flooded in. Human agents, embedded throughout Federation bureaucracy, were revealing themselves. Trade networks supposedly controlled by Federation interests turned out to be human-operated fronts. Even the Federation's celebrated predictive AI models were discovered to have been subtly influenced by human quantum computing for decades. "We could have struck years ago," Chen explained, her tone almost gentle. "But a quick military victory wasn't our goal. We needed you to understand exactly how completely you had misread us, how thoroughly your own arrogance had blinded you." Vexthor found his voice at last. "What are your demands?" Chen's smile was cold. Demands. No, counselor. We're not here to demand anything. We're here to offer you a choice. In the next few moments, your military command will confirm that every major Federation installation is currently under human control. Your fleets are neutralized. Your defenses are compromised. Your entire power structure exists because we allow it to exist. She paused, letting the magnitude of humanity's victory sink in. But wholesale destruction isn't our goal. We're offering partnership. Real partnership, not the false benevolence you've shown us. Equal standing, open technology exchange, and genuine cooperation. Around the council chamber, neural networks were confirming the impossible truth. Humanity had achieved in secret what the Federation had believed would take centuries. Their quantum technology, their AI integration, their weapons development, all had progressed far beyond Federation understanding, while maintaining a perfect facade of primitive struggle. You have 1 standard hour to decide, Chen concluded. Accept a new equilibrium where humanity stands as equals, or she let the alternative hang unspoken. We'll await your response. As her image faded, Vexthor turned to his advisors. How did we not see this coming? In her command center on Europa, Chen watched the Federation leadership scramble to understand their new reality. Maya Santos appeared at her side. Her youthful facade dropped to reveal her true age and bearing. They never saw it coming, Maya observed, because they built their entire strategy around preventing exactly this kind of unified human action. They never imagined we could maintain a deception spanning generations, coordinating across light years while appearing divided and weak. Chen nodded. They forgot the most important lesson about humanity. We are at our most dangerous not when we're angry, not when we're afraid, but when we're patient. Throughout human space, hidden facilities were now activating openly. Quantum shields shimmered around colonies that had appeared defenseless. Ships emerged from dimensional pockets that Federation science had deemed impossible. Each revelation was precisely calculated to demonstrate not just humanity's military superiority, but the futility of resistance. The Federation had 1 hour to accept a new reality. They had never been humanity's guardians. They had been their students. And class was finally in session. Counter-strike. The Federation's response came not with the surrender Chen had anticipated, but with something far more interesting. Silence. For precisely 59 minutes, no official communication emerged from the council chambers. Then, with seconds remaining in the deadline, a private channel opened directly to Chen's neural interface. Impressive, said a voice she'd never expected to hear. Though perhaps we should discuss which of us has truly been deceiving whom. The speaker was neither Vexthor nor any known Federation official. Instead, it was the voice of something far older, the true power behind the Federation's throne. The architects, Chen breathed, recognizing the distinctive harmonic patterns in the transmission. A species so advanced, they were considered mythical by most Federation members, said to have seeded the galaxy with the foundations of faster-than-light travel before retreating to watch their garden grow. Did you truly believe, the voice continued, that we would allow any species to develop quantum manipulation without oversight? That we wouldn't recognize the patterns of preparation? In that moment, Chen understood that humanity's great deception had operated within an even greater game. The Federation's apparent containment of human development had itself been a test, one that humanity had just passed. How long have you known? She asked. Since your species first split the atom while still fighting with propeller aircraft, came the reply. Such acceleration of technological development was noteworthy. We merely provided the framework to see how you would respond to apparent subjugation. Throughout human space, new sensors were detecting massive energy signatures emerging from what had appeared to be natural phenomena. Ancient monitoring stations, disguised as asteroid fields and nebulae, were awakening. But Chen was smiling, because in that moment, she realized that humanity's preparations hadn't been in vain. They'd been exactly what the architects wanted to see. You needed to know if we could play the long game, she said. If we could maintain unity of purpose across generations while appearing divided, if we could advance technologically while appearing stagnant, the galaxy is larger than you know, the architect confirmed, and far more dangerous. The Federation serves its purpose as a crucible for developing species, but true threats lurk between the spiral arms. We needed to know if humanity could practice patience and deception on a cosmic scale. Throughout Europa Station, quantum computers were processing this new reality. The Federation hadn't been humanity's ultimate opponent. It had been their testing ground. Every deception, every careful manipulation had been observed and evaluated by entities operating on a far grander scale. And now, Chen asked, though she suspected she knew the answer. Now, the architect replied, you are ready for your true role. The Federation will be restructured. Humanity will take its place as administrators, guiding the younger species while we attend to larger concerns. The implications were staggering. Humanity hadn't just been proving their worth as equals, they'd been auditioning for a role as the galaxy's new shepherds. Chen exchanged glances with Maya, whose strategic mind was already calculating the possibilities. We'll need the Federation's infrastructure intact, Maya noted. A smooth transition that maintains stability while redistributing power. Precisely, the architect agreed. Which is why we allowed your operation to proceed exactly as planned. Your methods of control and revelation were elegant. Most species attempt brute force. You chose subtle manipulation and calculated revelation. Across human space, commanders were receiving new data packets through their quantum networks. The true map of the galaxy, the real threats that lurked in the void, the civilizations that had failed the architect's tests, and the reasons for their failures. There are shadows moving between the galaxies, the architect continued. Entities that view developing civilizations as resources to be harvested. The Federation was created as a proving ground, a place where species could demonstrate their worthiness to join in the galaxy's defense. Humanity has proven not just worthy, but exceptional. Chen understood now why the architects had chosen this moment to reveal themselves. Humanity had demonstrated not just technological advancement, but the capacity for unified action across vast distances and timeframes. They had shown they could guide other species while maintaining control, exactly the qualities needed for the role they were being offered. The Federation Council awaits your terms, the architect concluded. We suggest you proceed exactly as planned. Your strategy for reorganization aligns well with our larger purposes. As the communication ended, Chen turned to her staff. Their mission hadn't changed, but its context had expanded beyond anything they'd imagined. They weren't just taking control of local space, they were accepting responsibility for the galaxy's future. Send word to all commands, she ordered. Operation parameters remain unchanged, but update strategic objectives to include preparation for extragalactic threats. It seems we've been practicing for a much bigger game. Maya was already adapting their plans, her strategic mind incorporating the new data. The Federation species will actually be more accepting of human authority now, she noted. The architect's endorsement changes everything. Chen nodded, remembering her earlier words to the Federation Council. They had proven humanity's patience and cunning on a galactic scale. Now they would prove it on an intergalactic one. The game wasn't ending. It was only beginning. New Order. 1 year after humanity's revelation of power and the architect's unexpected intervention, Commander Chen stood in Europa Station's newly constructed Grand Assembly. Below her, representatives from every Federation species gathered in chambers that seemed to defy physics, their architecture a deliberate demonstration of humanity's mastery over space itself. The transition had been neither entirely smooth nor completely violent. As Maya had predicted, most Federation species accepted human authority, with a mixture of resignation and relief, once the architect's endorsement became known. Others required more direct persuasion. The Drachnid delegation is requesting another private audience, Maya reported, her rejuvenated form no longer a disguise but a testament to human biotechnology. They're still struggling with the concept of serving under their former primitives. Chen smiled. The Drachnids had been among the Federation's most ardent supporters of keeping humanity contained. Now they were learning the true cost of underestimating Earth's children. Remind them, Chen said quietly, about the incident in the Carina Nebula. The incident had been humanity's only necessary display of military force during the transition. When the Drachnid fleet attempted to challenge the New Order, they discovered that human quantum weapons could disable entire battle groups without causing a single casualty. Their ships still floated in the nebula, preserved as a monument to the futility of resistance. But today wasn't about displays of power. Today was about revealing humanity's true purpose to their new protectorates. Honored representatives, Chen began, her words translated simultaneously through neural interfaces that humanity had generously provided to all species. You've spent the past year adjusting to human leadership, questioning our methods, wondering about our true intentions. Today, you learn why the architects chose us as their successors. The chamber's vast holographic display activated, showing not just the Milky Way, but the entire local group of galaxies. Red markers appeared between the spiral arms, marking the movement of something ancient and hungry. The Federation wasn't created to foster peace, Chen continued. It was created as a training ground, a place where species could prove their worth to face what comes from between the stars. Humanity didn't deceive you because we craved power. We did it because we needed to know if we could guide you in the war to come. The display zoomed in on massive structures moving through the void. Entities that defied conventional physics, their very existence an affront to the ordered universe, the Federation had thought it understood. The architects built the framework, the faster-than-light technology you all use, not as a gift, but as a test. Species that could master it, adapt it, improve it, showed potential. Those that merely used it without understanding proved themselves unworthy of survival. Throughout the chamber, comprehension dawned on faces and in minds both familiar and alien. Every Federation restriction on human development, every apparent limitation, had been an opportunity to demonstrate innovation and determination. Humanity didn't just master the framework, Chen explained. We saw through it to its underlying principles. While appearing to struggle with basic antimatter containment, we were developing quantum technologies that the architects themselves consider noteworthy. While accepting your protection, we were preparing to protect the entire galaxy. The display shifted again, showing the true extent of human preparation. Hidden fleets larger than anything the Federation had imagined. Defense networks that spanned entire sectors. Research facilities that had made breakthroughs the architects had believed impossible for organic minds. Today, we offer you a choice, Chen continued. Not the false choice of submission or destruction, but a real opportunity to join us in defending not just our galaxy, but all of local space. The entities you see in these images consume entire civilizations. They've done it before. The architects stopped them once, at a cost we can barely comprehend. Now they need new guardians, and humanity has proven worthy of the role. She paused, letting the magnitude of the threat sink in. But we cannot do it alone. Each of your species has unique strengths, perspectives, and capabilities. Under human guidance, working together, we can forge something greater than the Federation ever was. A true alliance of species ready to face the darkness between the stars. The chamber erupted in discussion as the implications became clear. Humanity's apparent submission to Federation authority hadn't just been a deception. It had been preparation for assuming the role of galactic guardians. In the years since taking control, humanity had systematically reorganized Federation space. Resources had been redirected, research priorities shifted, entire populations relocated to better defensive positions. What had seemed like power consolidation was actually preparation for war on a scale the Federation had never imagined. The architects will not fight this battle for us, Chen concluded. They've done their part by identifying species with potential and testing them through the Federation framework. Humanity passed their test, not just through technological achievement, but by demonstrating the capacity to guide other species toward a greater purpose. She gestured at the display, where the massive entities continued their ominous movement through the void. These beings will reach our galaxy within 50 years. That is how long we have to prepare to transform the Federation's scattered worlds into a unified force capable of facing extinction itself. Humanity's deception is over. Now we must all stand together or fall alone. The chamber was silent for a long moment. Then, one by one, representatives began to signal their acceptance, not out of fear or resignation, but out of recognition that humanity's long game had been preparation for something far greater than mere political power. Maya's quantum calculations had predicted this outcome with 99.97% accuracy. Given the truth about the threats they faced, most species would choose unity under human leadership over extinction under their own authority. Chen allowed herself a small smile as she watched the future of galactic civilization take shape before her. Humanity had spent generations playing the role of students, all while preparing to become teachers. Now the real work could begin. The game of deception was over. The war for survival was about to begin, and humanity was ready to lead the charge into darkness.